Now we are ready with the front end, that is the basic required elements like piece container and puzzle container and also the start button. Next, what we need to do, we need to display the image here as 16 pieces, and once the start button is clicked, these pieces should move from this section to this section. So how we can do that? If you remember, here there are 4 rows and 4 columns, right? So these are the 16 pieces, and once we click the start button, these pieces are moving towards this section. So we can have 16 div elements added with the required image portion, right? So for that we are going to run 2 loops. One is for rows and another loop within that for the columns. So let's do that part now. So we need to have the script section to add the jQuery code. So script, within this we need to have $document.ready event, and here we need to add function, open and close parenthesis, open and close curly braces, and within this what we need to do, we need to run loops. So let me set initially the values for rows and columns, rows as 4 and columns as 4, and next let me run the loop. So first let me run the loop for rows. So for where I equal to 0, I less than rows, I plus plus, and within this let me again run for where j equal to 0, j less than columns, j plus plus. And what should we do? Let me have a variable, and within that variable let me store div elements. So as it is running 2 loops, at the end of this loop there will be 16 elements, right? So what I'm going to do is that let me have another variable named pieces. This is an empty string, okay? And here pieces plus equals, let me add a div element, and I'm going to have a class name, common class name as piece, and this class name can be used to style the individual pieces, that is to set the border, width, height, etc. Okay, and for the time being let me just close this div element, okay? And we actually have to position these pieces using top and left values. We will do it later. For the time being, just let me show you. After this loop, let me show you console.log the value of pieces. Okay. Now let me save this and show you the output. We are not seeing anything because we haven't styled them. Let me go to the console, more tools, developer tools. In the console, see, we are seeing undefined div class piece, like that 16 div elements are added. So initially let me set the value of pieces to be an empty string. Okay. Now suppose I set this as the HTML value of puzzle container. What will happen? Let me show you. That is $puzzle container .html as pieces. So those values will be set as the HTML value of this puzzle container. Let's check that. Let me save this. Let me click this container, puzzle container. See, we are seeing div class piece like this within this puzzle container, right? So what we can do now, we can style these 16 elements using this class name. So let me do that. Let me specify dot piece, because we have already set the class name here itself, and for that let me specify width to be 100 px, then height to be 100 px, border to be 1 px solid black, and also float to be left. And let me also specify background image for this, that is background image as URL. I have already saved an image named flower1.jpg in the same folder where this jigsaw puzzle.html is lying. I have also saved a number of other images. For the time being, let me save flower1.jpg here. So what will happen now? Let me save this and show you. See, we are seeing the same piece 16 times, and also the fourth piece is not getting displayed here. Why? Because the total width is set as 400px for the piece container as well as puzzle container, right? So when we specify 100px as the width of the piece, and also we are setting border as 1px. So what happens here is that for each piece we need 2px as the border, 100px as the total width, and 1px each as the left and right border. So as 4 pieces are there, 8px is needed as the border itself, and 400px is needed for the images to be placed. So if we want to display them in one row, that is 4 pieces are to be displayed in one row, then what we need to do, 400 plus 8, that is 408 should be set as the width of the container. Hope you understand the mathematics behind this. That is, we have set the width as 400px here, and we are setting the width of the element as 100px. So the width itself needs 400px, and we are setting a border of 1px. So for each piece 2px is needed, that is for the left and right borders. So as there are 4 pieces to be displayed in one row, we need 8px for the border. So I am specifying 408px as the width. Same is for height as well, because for top and bottom border we need 8px for 4 pieces. So for uniformity for the piece container as well, let me make it as 408px, and here also 408px. Now let me save this and show you. See, now all the 16 pieces are getting displayed, but what happens? The same piece, that is the same portion of the image, is getting displayed repeatedly. So to display different pieces, that is the whole image in these 16 pieces together, we are going to make use of background position property offered by CSS, and we are going to set the top and left values. So the background position property is used to set the starting position of the background image. Okay, so to show you how it works, I have already saved another web page. Let me show you that. This is the web page I have created. Here I have added 2 different div elements with the same image we are using. Okay, so this is how, now let me close this. So this is how the 2 images are now looking like. This is the main div element, and within this the image is displayed, and this is the second div element, and there also we are displaying the image. And here you could see that the background image is specified as URL flower1.jpg, background repeat as no repeat, height and width as set as 400, and border is set as 1px solid black. Now for the second div element, that is within this div, for the image I am going to change the value of background position to show you how it works. As of now it is 0, 0, so it is getting displayed here itself. Now if I specify 100 here and 0 here, let me show you what happens. See, we are seeing this portion moved towards the right hand side. Okay, so if I specify this to 200, 0, now this portion has moved 200 pixels towards the right hand side. Now suppose instead of that, if I specify minus 100px, what will happen? See, this portion is getting displayed at the start, right? So here this portion is getting displayed, whereas here this portion is getting displayed. So in our case we need something like that, right? Let me refresh this. Here we need 0, 0, and for this div element, if we specify minus 100 as the starting point, we could see the image correctly. Hope you understand. It is a bit confusing actually. Instead of minus 100, if I specify plus 100, then this portion itself will move towards this side. But what we need is that we need in the second div element, that is for the second piece, we need to display this portion. So for that we need to set the value of this one as minus 100, 0. So like that we are going to make use of background position value to set the correct portion within the corresponding div element. So let's do that part now. Let me access our puzzle itself. This was added just to show you how this background position property works. Okay. Now for this piece we have to specify background repeat to be no repeat. Okay. And now we are going to specify left and top values within the loop. So how we can specify that? With I equal to 0, I am going to initialize another variable named top and set its value to be 0. And here, while incrementing the value of I, that is to run the loop, I am going to decrement the value of top by 100. Why I am decrementing the value? As we have seen in the previous example, we need to display that particular portion in the second div element. Similarly, here what we need to do? Here we need to specify left as 0 and here I need to decrement the value of left by 100. And for the div elements, let me add the style tag, that is to specify the background position values. Style equal to background position, that is the name of the property, background position. And what should I do? I need to set the values so it is there in left and top. So left, then I need to set px, so again px, then this left and top values are to be separated using a space, so I am putting the space here itself, then plus top, then again px. It is a bit confusing as we are having a number of concatenation here, right? Here this first one is for div element, this is starting. As this string is enclosed within double quotes, I am using single quotes here to set background position, and I have specified left px, then we need to have a space, then top, then again px, then let me end this using colon. And what else we need to have? We need to have a single quotes to end this, and we can have class also within this. So as of now it will be like div style background position, the value will be left px space top px, that is it will be 0 minus 100 minus 200 minus 300, and here also 0 minus 100 minus 200 minus 300. Then we have the class name piece. Now let us save this and check the output. See, we are seeing the pieces correctly. Now if you see the elements, let me go to tools, developer tools, and go to the container, go to the puzzle container. See, for this first piece the value is style background position 0 0. For this piece it becomes minus 100 0. Why? As we have discussed with the help of a separate HTML page, the background position needs to be set as minus values, as we need to set the starting position as this value. Hope you remember that part. When we set minus 100 0, the starting becomes this section, right? So that is what we need for the second div element. Suppose we change this to minus 200 0 or minus 300 0, then the last portion or the piece will be displayed. See, this is the last piece. So using the background position, we are actually decrementing the value by 100 so that the correct piece will get displayed in the exact position. That is what we have seen here. For the puzzle container, for the second piece, see, this is the second piece. For that it is minus 100 and 0. For the third piece it is minus 200 0. That is left is minus 200 and top is 0. Minus 300 0. Then for this it will be 0 minus 100, minus 100 minus 100, like that it goes. So we have added 16 pieces and we are displaying those 16 pieces like this. Next, what we need to do, once the start button is clicked, these pieces should move from here to here. And also we need to have an empty space, that is these borders should be there but the pieces should not be there. That is, the images should not be there when the start button is clicked. As you see here, when the start button is clicked, the image pieces move here but this whole puzzle container is having 16 pieces or 16 spaces to drop these pieces. So next we need to do that part, that is on the click of the start button, we need to move the pieces from the puzzle container to the piece container. We will do it in the next lecture.